Huge welcome. This is for all of the women who are feeling that little tug of wanting to build better relationships in your life, but also willing to be what I call a community maker. Somebody who's also willing to help be the initiator, the organizer, the host, the community maker, the one who's like, I'm going to help make this happen. Because isn't that the hardest part, is actually just kind of giving us an excuse and putting the date in the calendar and helping make something happen. Most women want to say yes and be a part of something, and it just takes an initiator. And so this series, I am interviewing 5 initiators, 5 women who are community makers. And today I'm super excited to be interviewing Crystal Gornto. I met her years ago, and she's that beautiful woman who lives in Frisco, Texas, and has been doing community in all types of different ways in her history. She's got a big passion for pulling women together. And I wanted to ask her about her current community that she is creating called the HeartStories GNO Sisters. So Crystal, thank you so much for joining me and inspiring all of us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. You are like my friendship idol. So Thank you.
Well, you're like
Shasta.
No, you're like on the front lines doing it, which is so awesome. So you're an inspiration. You're doing something that people can replicate and be inspired by, and you're actually helping pull people together. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So tell us first, as we get started, like why? Why are you doing this? What prompted you to like actually think whatever it is you're going to start describing to us? But kind of, I just want to start at the beginning with the why. Like, what was the need that you saw or the feeling that kind of prompted the beginning of this?
Yeah, so just the beginning of HeartStories and wanting to connect women with their girlfriends started because I grew up in a family of 4 girls, and I have a mom who raised us, and we all, at the time, it was almost 6 years ago, we were all doing very different things with our lives. And I was so interested in why did we choose what we chose? Like, what's behind how do you get the confidence that encourages you and empowers you to go out and do things? And anyway, every time I would ask women, so I would sit down with women and say, what is it when you're doing the things and you're chasing your dreams or doing the things that you feel like you're meant to do in the world, whether that's volunteering in the PTA or working a big corporate job or being an entrepreneur, starting something, whatever it is, when do you feel the most confident and like equipped to do that? And every single time was when we're doing this. When I'm looking in your eyeballs and I have a friend who believes in me and supports me and sees the good in me and isn't afraid to mirror that back. And so that's just the answer that I kept getting. I knew I wanted to encourage and inspire women to follow their hearts and do the things that they feel like they're called to do. But every single time I turned around, it was like, we need our girlfriends. We need our girlfriends. And so I was like, okay, I guess that's my mission in life, is to figure out how to connect incredibly busy women who have passion to do something important in the world with each other, face to face. And it's been hard to do, but that's where it came from. That's where the whole idea came from.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. And how long have you been doing this? How long have you been doing this version of the idea of this, like, the girls' night out?
30, this will be our, we have an event next week. It'll be our 36th girls' night out. So 3 years. We do it once a month. Yeah.
Awesome. That's so great. And so let's actually break this down. So it's HeartStories Girls Night Out. You call it GNO Sisters. And let's talk about how you got started and like so you decided you're going to do this, and how did you actually, like, what were the first things you had to do to actually get this started?
So I was so fortunate in that I don't even know, I think it was a speaking coach. Somebody connected me with this gal named Tara Gentili. Not connected me, I've never met her, but introduced me to her. And I took a course of hers she had on Creative Live at the time. And I've heard it's not there anymore because I direct people to it all the time. But it was called the Living Room Strategy. It's all about when you're doing the thing that you're meant to do in the world, you can whisper and the people you're meant to serve will hear you and they will be attracted to what you're doing. I love to connect people. I love to have fun. I love to go on trips and be the instigator of all things fun and exciting. And these women that I want to serve, they want that, but they don't have the time to figure it out and do it for themselves. So that was like, I'll throw parties, but I'll throw fun parties that people want to come to. And then, oh, by the way, while you're there, I'm going to make you think about what you want to do with your life. And I'm going to make you have conversations with your friends that you don't normally have. And so I call it because I have a dog who's old and sick and I have to give him peanut butter pills and peanut butter. I call it the peanut butter on the pills. So the girls' night, the wine, the food, the fun is the peanut butter. And then I always put the pill in there too. It's the thing I know you need, but you don't necessarily make space for in your life. So.
Love it. Love it. Beautiful. So did you just plan one or did you plan out several? Did you commit to something? Like, what did you do to like, no, this is perfect.
Yeah.
And what I'm doing, what's cool is what I'm doing right now is doing community making training programs. So I'm doing incubators to help women do what you kind of went through to help them figure out where their passion is. So this is so perfect to kind of watch your process for like having the hunger and then actually having it take form, which is so cool.
Yeah, so I forgot that was the living room strategy comes back. Basically, write out what you would dream this thing would look like. Then let's back into the practical steps. The whole premise was even if you want to serve the entire world with your mission, that you have to start in your living room. And like, so I think that had been my biggest struggle previously is like, you were at my very first event. I was like, spend $1 million. Let's make it amazing for everybody. And I had this huge dream and huge vision, but I needed somebody to tell me, no, make it small, make it really small. I had defined who my target demographic, like who is this woman I want to serve? So I made a list of 100 women that I knew that fit that exact, like if they didn't fit all the things I said, I didn't invite them. Not because I didn't love them, but because I was trying to serve this one woman. And I made my list and I sent out an email to all of those people and told them, hey, I'm having this thing. I charged $29 just because I needed to see if it would work to charge the money. And I, just told them what I was going to do. I invited a friend to partner with me that I could tell her story because I've always been really passionate about telling other women's stories who are doing interesting things so that nobody feels alone. Like if she can do it, I can do it. So I brought my friend Carly, who's actually going to be part of our event next week again, and we told her story about an ethical fashion company she founded. She sold her products. We played games and laughed. But 50 people came. So out of my 100, 50 came.
Yeah.
And it was great.
It shows the need. That's awesome.
Yeah. Don't plan this one and then immediately plan subsequent events. Like plan this one and do it really well. And if you get the good feedback, say, yes, we'll be back. So I did that in April of 2016, and then I hosted the next one in June. So it took me that much time to be able to like form all of my thoughts and take all the feedback and figure out how I could scale it more publicly. And anyway, so that's that. They only planned that one, and my sister and I made all the food. My sister and I were sweating bullets trying to get all.
That's a lot of work. Yeah.
Together. Oh, it was crazy. And I picked wildflowers and put them in vases on the tables. Like it was very, very like, what do you call it? Like down and dirty. Like, let's just get this thing done. But nobody cares. Like nobody was worried about that the flowers were picked from the neighbor's field.
Of course not. I see pictures of your events on Facebook and they're just gorgeous. Like I'm almost scared to put you out as an example because what you do is just so gorgeous. But I love what you do is you enjoy that part of it and you enjoy the party planning and the pulling people together and the making it special and beautiful. And you do that so well, which is so cool where each of us finds our sweet spot and the part of it that we enjoy doing.
Yes.
And you have a certain eye for those beautiful event planning and parties.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want me to interject here and say though that when you're building something and when you're creating, there's so much you have to do that you don't enjoy. No matter how much you've tried to engineer this thing that's exactly who you are and what you want to do in the world and all that. I spend 90% of my time doing things I don't enjoy, that I'm not good at, and wish I didn't have to do. But that thing that we get to do once a month is magical, and that is the place I want to be. And the change and the connection and the love among all of these women who get together with their girlfriends, it makes it worth it. But it doesn't, like you're talking about how great it is when you find your sweet spot. It's great, but I want to be at a place where I don't have to do all the things forever. So
yes, good.
So that's just good, real
yeah.
life.
It is. It is. It's very helpful. And when you talk about 90% of the things you don't like doing, is that pertain to the event planning, the actual event, or is it just other business stuff? And like, is the event planning and the actual girls' night out, is that part 90% of what you don't like doing, or that's the part you do like doing?
I like creating the content. I love
Mm-hmm.
being part of the design of like, what do we want the room to look like and feel like, and what do we want people to experience? And like, I love that part, but that's like 10% of what we do. I mean, we're ordering linens and figuring out how many sponsor tables we need and how I got to go measure the venue 14 times. And I have people that help me. But when it's your baby, like I'm always have to be like, no, that's not going to fit the feel. If you put that
Yeah.
table over there, it's, so there's just there, and it sounds like I'm a control freak when I say that out
No, no,
loud,
no,
but I'm
no.
not. It's all
No,
about,
but
for me, the experience.
yeah, and you do. And this for you is event planning. And so it's a big production. An event is
It
like
is.
people come to events and don't realize how much goes on behind the scenes. But yeah, you're helping
Yeah.
kind of pull the veil back a little bit for those of us who, even if we're not renting linens and all of that stuff, it's still finding venues and all the, like, there's so many logistics that come with gathering
Yes.
people often.
Yeah. Or I mean, even just ordering the food and figuring out what wine and the glasses, like all of the things. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And are you running this as a business that's profitable? Are you doing this where the price you're charging is covering everything and making you money?
Yeah, great question. So the price I'm charging is covering everything. We sell sponsorships, and that the sponsorships is really where
Okay. Good
profitability
to know.
comes into play.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if I was running this as if I wasn't a mom and didn't have a life, I could probably do it and be making money. But I hire people to help me because I don't want to work
Yeah.
80 hours a week.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
right now, where we are, would I say we're profitable? We're not losing money.
Good.
I'm not making a paycheck. But this month we hired a sponsorship director, and she is killing it already. Because that's been the thing. I've always also been the salesperson. My whole entire career before this was in sales. So I've always been the one to manage all the sponsor relationships and do all the sales. And we just got to a point where if we're going to get profitable, it can't just be me
Yeah.
also managing all the sponsorships. So we hired Katie. She's amazing. And we have a new budget plan and projections for this year that are really exciting compared to where we've been in the past. So
Good. Congratulations.
yeah,
This is
thank
exciting.
you. Thank
This is a
you.
great model for people who are running their businesses and want to add an arm on and help gather people. And so I love that you're helping share this a little bit, and
Yes.
such a great way to do this. So for you, when you actually tell us, so you plan an event every month, is that true?
Yes, first Thursday of the month.
And is it just an ongoing growing mailing list, and it's kind of like first come, first serve, and that's like how you sell tickets, and then that's kind of the maxes out? Is that the way you're inviting?
It is. It is. It's been an interesting, yes. It's friends inviting friends. It's social media plays a big part. Facebook has Facebook's event page
Yep, yep, yep.
helps a ton.
Good.
Just being able to put all of the logistics there and be able to share
Yeah.
that. Facebook does not want you sharing your links that take people away from Facebook. So if you
Yes.
can leverage their event page, which stinks because most social media people want you to grow your Instagram, and especially with what
Mm-hmm.
we do, we have gorgeous images, but it's much more difficult to link people to like buy the ticket and be engaged and have that spot. And then you've talked about the HeartStories GNO sisters, which is what I call the group. Like, so it's
Okay.
just the HeartStories GNO is the event, but then I have
Okay.
a private group on Facebook that's small. It's like 400 people. Well, small-ish compared to how many people have come through the girls' night, but it's only for people who opt in, who've come to the girls' night. You have to have come to be able to come into the group because I want you to know what we're all about before you jump in there. And then come to the girls' night, and then they self-select to join our little group. And I want so much more to have more community building in the group, but right now it is what it is. But it's
Okay, good.
between the group and the
Yeah.
event page, it's a great way to stay in touch with people who are already bought into what we're doing. They get it, they see it, and if they're available, they come.
Perfect. And
So yeah, I would
have you
just
noticed
say
how many I'm sorry, I was going to say, have you noticed how many people are repeat, or like how many people come every time? How many people are coming back? Is it mostly all new people every time?
It's weird. I think that depends on content and maybe even scheduling, but it's somewhere, it's not 50-50, but it's sometimes maybe like 60-40, and sometimes it's 60 new and 40 like repeats.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a
Mm-hmm.
membership program. So we have we have annual members and quarterly members. They get different perks for, basically paying for a quarter or for a year in advance. And so those folks are pretty consistent, right?
Yeah.
But then all the others, I feel like some months, just depending on what the topic is, we may have like all of these new faces. I'm like, who are these people? And what's interesting is the really hot topics, the things that seem to sell out really quickly, those tend to be the people like where there's more new people than people who've attended before. And I think it's because the new people see it and they're like, sign me up, I want in. And then not the old people, but the people who've been before.
The regulars, yeah.
Yeah, the regulars, they kind of miss out because they didn't act fast enough, because they just kind of anticipate that they can roll in. And then it gets awkward because we do sell out. And so then they're all wanting to come in, and I'm like, So, but good. It is interesting that the hot topic girls' nights seem to be the ones where we have more newbies.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine for the new people that the title or the topic is what pulls them in, because they don't have the relationships per se, but everybody else is coming because they're like going to see the people they've seen. And so they're coming for they're just going to come no matter what the topic is. It's a lot more meaningful because they're coming for the community that you've built up.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so how many people are at each of these events typically?
We've been, last month I think we had 150. This month I think we have 132 seats at our venue, so it'll be somewhere around there. And then there's always more because of all the team, and the whoever is our featured guest for the night usually brings their people. It's hovering around 150.
Wonderful. And you change venues every time?
I wish we didn't. It's been the whole venue has been an interesting path, because we are at that weird size where we're not, and I don't want to be in a convention center or a big hotel conference, like a big ballroom.
Yeah.
I want it to feel like a girls' night. So we're like pushing all the boundaries on the smaller venues with the size, and yet anyway, it's just a weird spot. We have had to change venues a couple times. And so now we compete with like wedding business, and I can't compete with that. I don't have the budget that a bride has for her one special day of her whole life. So anyway, so that's definitely a pain point in growth right now is the venue. And it is, as you can imagine, a huge lift to try to change venues often, although our attendees love it. They love moving around from place to place. I'm like, you have no idea, I'm dragging in here half dead because I had to change venues this month.
That is a lot of work. So each time you're kind of at a different venue and you have a different theme or topic that you've decided. And then is there like a format that you follow? Do you do some things every time? Like, is there some constant or some kind of schedule to the evening? How do you kind of what's your flow?
Yeah, so definitely I have an agenda that I follow. I mean, we definitely interchange the pieces and parts at times, but for the most part, it is pretty set when everybody arrives. So the members get to arrive a little early. We do pampering, hair and makeup at the beginning, and massage. And they can, it's very nice. So the members can get there at 6. They come a little early and can get their hair and makeup done and or get a shoulder massage. Then at 6:30, the general attendees arrive. They can shop with. We have sponsors who have some set up retail items for sale. They can shop, be pampered, all of that. Have wine and food. And then at 7, we start the programming. And I really try to start right at 7, having to talk over people and blow whistles and everything else to get everybody to sit down. Trying to rally women on a girls' night. Good luck to you. It's hilarious.
It's my least favorite thing to do, stopping women from talking. I always have them do sharing. And then I'm like, as somebody who loves watching you connect, it kills me to stop you. And yet we have to.
Yes, because you all want to leave on time, and I'm going to give you what you came for. So totally. So we do that. Then at 7, we start the program. I introduce myself, do a quick, here's why HeartStories brief talk at the beginning. And then we give raffles. I use raffles as bait all the time. Like, here, in order to make them quiet, I'm like, I am giving away item number 8, 2, and then they go, shh, well, it's not. Like, It's like a hush falls over the room if I'm giving something away.
You're a smart woman.
And they start, they start telling their friends to be quiet as soon as you start reading the numbers. So I use raffles at the beginning, then I do the little story. Typically in that introduction time, I'll talk about the theme for the night, because I try to tie that whole peanut butter and pill thing together, even in the title of the girls' night. So for instance, next week is the Confident Spring Style Girls' Night. And rather than just saying we're going to do a spring fashion show, it's about confidence, because Allison, our style guide, who's a fashion blogger for the night, is going to talk about how clothing always comes back down to confidence, and how confident we feel in our clothes, and how that affects everything in our lives, the way that we show up for our lives. So that's the deeper meaning for me. And then Tribe Alive, the fashion brand, is all about empowering women through ethical, sustainable fashion. And so tying all that together in the title is like another part of my, it's a big part of the job. It's like, I always name it something that women want. So if I tell you I'm going to the Confident Spring Style fashion show, I want you to hear it like, oh, I want that. Even if you don't know what it is, that you want the thing that's the title.
Yeah, good call.
So I do a little talk about the why, like, why did I call it Confident Spring Style? So we'll talk about that, and I'll have Allison talk about confidence through clothing. And then somewhere in there we'll do, as you talked about, I always want them to get connecting and telling stories. So I do, that's something that I never, even at the fashion show next week, I'm like, I know it seems strange, they're all going to stop and tell a story to their neighbor and like have a connecting point, because I won't let them leave without having a deeper, more authentic, even if it's a funny story, whatever it is, like I want them to have a real connection with somebody before they leave. And so that is my one, like, non-negotiable. That's going to happen every single time. And then like for the fashion show, we have to abbreviate the interview portion, but we're going to have, because that's always also a standing component, is having this time when I get to interview, just like fireside chat. Tell me about the same questions you asked me. What was your passion? Why did you do this? What were you doing before? What's been hard? What's been great? And almost always someone cries, almost always we laugh and, until our stomach hurts, and we talk about the real behind the scenes stuff. And then we do whatever the fun thing is. So the fashion show, the painting, the lazy Susan, whatever. And then of course we take some breaks in there, and then we take at the end, I try to let them go a little earlier than I said, so they can stay around and talk and shop and whatever before they go.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Love that. Yeah, there's nothing worse than going to an event. And it's probably one of my biggest complaints, is going to events that are designed to be a networking, a pulling people, a meeting people event. And then you just have, the only connecting you do is if you kind of mingle and like work the crowd a little. And so many of us have temperaments where that is just not enjoyable, or we can do it, but it's not meaningful.
It's awkward.
So to have you hold the space and help introduce that and set it up is so powerful. Such a beautiful, I love the non-negotiable.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. I learned that from go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, it changes it from just networking to actually making community and actually helping build relationships. So well done.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'm going to have you, we're almost done, but I just want to ask a couple of reflection questions around, like, so if you were to give any advice, kind of like, what have you learned? You've shared with us so many fabulous tips and strategies. Thank you. But kind of like, what's been the hardest part, and what have you learned?
Oh my gosh. If we could be here all day, all the next 3 weeks, I've learned so much. The hardest part is getting comfortable with all the things I don't know and all the ways I'm going to screw it up and make it, and that it's not going to work, and getting back up and doing it again. And I mean, you hear that all the time. It's the getting back up. It is, though. It is. It's for me, the financial part, it's probably why I got more quiet and leaned back when you start asking me questions about the money. Like, that's a place in my personal life, in my business, that I've never been very good at. I want to connect people. I want to have fun. I have the huge vision. Let's make it happen. Ask me about the books and I'm going to hide under my desk until it's all over, So that's just one example of a place. But for me, it's about looking at the budget, and like, even if it's horrible and God's going to have to provide for me to pay everyone this week, like, looking at it anyway, and like facing the thing and getting it. Some people are afraid of public speaking, and they say you get up with your knees shaking. There's so many times when I just feel like I'm just going to do this, and it's okay if it doesn't go well, and it's okay. And I think I always also have to remind myself, like, no one's judging me like I am, but even if they are, like, I'm meant to do this in the world, and I'm just going to keep doing it. And when I write a blog every day, or I try to write every day. And sometimes I start to second guess, like, oh, and I'm like, no, I'm published. Like, I was like, this morning I spelled they are there. I spelled it IR, and I like saw it a couple hours later, and I had posted it all over social. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just going to keep happening. But I think that's been the hardest part, is like, it's like every time as we've grown, I used to have 50 people, I used to have 60 people, 70, and as we've grown, you'd think that things would be easier and I would feel more confident. And while I do feel more confident in like telling you the agenda, every single month brings new challenges, and it's kind of exhausting to feel like I'm constantly dancing on the edge of everything I know, and yet like that's where life is, and that's where I want to be, but that's certainly the hardest part, not knowing, never feeling like an expert, never feeling like I've been doing this 3 years and still don't feel like I know what I'm doing for the most part.
Well, that's because you keep challenging yourself, but you are.
That's true. It's true.
It is. But what's so beautiful about what you're talking about is what's driving you is the mission. Like, you feel very clear about why you're doing this, which then kind of is what enables you to keep going, I would guess.
Yeah. I just moved, or I would show it to you, but I had a sign on my door in my old office. And it was just, I printed it off the internet, and all it said is, I didn't come this far to only come this far. And I think that like every single month when I'm so tired and I just want to quit, or the finances didn't work out the way I planned, like, no, it's I didn't come this far to only come this far. We're going all the way.
You've been so honest with the exhausting piece, which I so appreciate.
Sorry,
no, I think that's really, really important, because we don't want it to surprise us, right? We don't want to like be like, I'm going to make community, and then feel that exhaustion and then think we're doing something wrong. I'm always reminding everybody that it's like, it's kind of like going to the gym. Like, we go expecting to be worn out and tired in order to be healthier. And so we're not shocked when we start to sweat and we don't think, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, And so we go expecting it. And in fact, if we don't get worn out or tired, we go, did it work? Was it worth my time? So I think
that's so good. Yeah.
I think part of what you're talking about is helping set expectations that if we're going to really grow and make something, it does require energy. And so thank you for all of that. And hopefully now we talk about the part where it's like, what do you get back for that energy that you've put out? Like, what's the rewarding part? What's the part that keeps you doing this month after month after month?
Yeah, so I think that's twofold. There's the intrinsic reward and the thing that I personally, Crystal Gornto, get out of it. And that part is like the tears, all of the stress and everything that I've had. I look back at the person that I was 6 years ago when I left my job, and I'm like, there is no amount of money, there's no school in the world that could make me the person I am today. And in a humble way, I'm not like some amazing person, but the personal growth and that whole practice of getting up and doing it again. I guess it's like going to the gym. I don't really go to the gym, but I know what you're talking about. But that you build the muscles, that you can't get that taking a pill. Like, it is who I've become, the way that I see the world, the way I can mother my children, because of all of the things that I've learned. And like, to me, that's like the eternal gift. If I can model for my kids what it looks like to have a healthy life and healthy friendships in any way. It's not all perfect, of course, but if I can model what it looks like to follow your passion and do something meaningful for my kids, that's huge. But also just the understanding and the growth and all the books I've had to read and the friendship expert that I follow and learn from about how to do life and how to do relationships. That's been amazing and worth every moment. But then on the external side and like what I get to see happening for other women, man, it's like, and then I'll get notes back sometimes after a girls' night or after a blog I wrote that, was maybe about friendship or something. And that, the connecting moment. So it's like, I'm going to get all teary. We had one of our members actually passed away unexpectedly this last year. And she was she was at the very first public one I did and had been at almost every one since then with her group of girlfriends. And we have a professional photographer every month. So like at her funeral, when they did the slideshow, there were tons of pictures of girls' night. And those girls kept talking about like, thank you for these moments. Thank you for what you gave us. You know, we can't ever get that back. And just seeing like one of the neat trends we've seen is mothers and daughters coming to girls' night together. And like, anyway, there's just been so many moments that it's like God winks. Somebody said to me one time, like when those things happen that you know it's just the confirmation that you're on the right path and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. It's like God just winking and saying, I got you. I got you. Keep going. So that's the external reward, is getting to see the magic of what really does. It's not me, but when women come together and really do connect, I mean, it's everything you're about. How it changes their life. It really does. Friendship will change the world. That's what you said at our first event. And I believed you ever since. So.
And it's so true. And you're doing it. You're like changing the world. And yeah, don't minimize your role. It's, I mean, it is the magic of everyone coming together, but I'm telling you what, that is the thing that is missing the most, is somebody inviting everybody to come together, and what you're offering to have a night where people can be seen in a safe and satisfying way is so, so, so beautiful. So I just have so much respect for you. If I know, so all of your events are local. So if somebody lives local and is watching this and wanted to come attend, where would they, where was the best place for them to find you? On Facebook?
Well, they can find us on Facebook or go to our website. On Facebook, it's just HeartStories, HeartStories.
So if somebody's watching this and thinks, I don't want to do this all by myself, and I would rather team up or whatever and live somewhere else, maybe do you want other people maybe reaching out to you from other areas?
Yes. We've talked about franchising and licensing, and maybe even just scaling virtually, where people can gather their own girlfriends in their own living room, but share the content with us. So if you're interested in any of those things, for sure, connect at heartstories.com. Shoot us an email and we will add you. We have a list of people in other cities who've said, like me, bring it to me. So
wonderful. Yes. Oh, Crystal, I could not be more proud of you. And
thank you, Shasta.
So grateful for the time our paths did cross, and looking forward to more. And thank you for the good work you're doing. I always say you're like on the front lines, like those of you in this world who are willing to be community makers, and what you're doing is so magical. So huge thanks. Yeah.
Thank you.
And if anybody else wants to reach out to Crystal and work with her, please do so, or attend any of her events, or take in what you heard today and help think through what you can do in your own area and what that looks like. And I have a new Community Makers track starting up this summer. If anybody wants to join that, to kind of help incubate an idea and help put together, figuring out who you are and what you're wanting to do, and the mission and the people that you're here to serve. So we are always wanting to help create more community makers and empower you. So thank you so much.
I wish I had that. I wish I had you and a community maker track. Seriously, like I had a book and a piece of paper to try to learn from. So sign up for that, people. That's amazing.
Well, it's a really fun way to watch women who have a little willingness, but don't necessarily know what that looks like yet. And we will start kind of thinking through, like, who am I, and what, like how Crystal does it will look different than how I do it and how somebody else does it. And it's really important that we don't try to replicate somebody else as much as we figure out what we're here to do and what that looks like you did. So I'm always passionate about helping people do that. Any final words you want to say? Anything I didn't ask you that you want to say to anybody who's looking to start a community?
No, except do Shasta's course, whatever that is, do it. Seriously, that is, you are just so full of wisdom. And I people ask me not all the time, a lot, can we meet for coffee so I can pick your brain? And my answer is no. I'm sorry. I love you, and I am trying to make this business work, and I can't meet everyone for coffee. And there have been times when I've done that before. But having someone like you, it's seriously like invaluable to have somebody who understands what we're trying to do and lead you along the path, who's been down the road before you. That is. And because you built girlfriend circles and all of that, you could guide. If I had you offering to guide me when I started in 2016, I 1000% believe my knees would not have so many scars. And so yeah, that's the one thing I would say is, like, take you up on that, because that's good stuff right there.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Yeah.
Well, until we meet again for a real hug, blessings on everything that you're doing.
Mwah. To you too, Shasta. Thank you.